You want to know how to make it to the other side during a trucking recession? I've been through two and survived, and here's my story. The first one was in 2015 when fuel nearly hit $5 a gallon, and the next was in 2019 that ended right when the pandemic started. We all remember the good times in trucking, but more importantly, we should remember the bad, because the bad times in trucking, well, that's what teaches us. When the rates are good, I stick to next day deliveries, short hops, but when the rates aren't that great, I'm going to chase miles. And what happens to most people statistically is that puts them out of business in trucking is debt. And I'm guilty of this myself. My last guilty pleasure purchase was a 2020 RZR. And yes, I had to go get a Dodge with a Cummins just to pull it. So trust me, I get it. But if things get bad, I let all that stuff go as soon as possible. I will sell it quick, or in worst case scenario, I will just give it back to the bank. And yes, I would take a hit to my credit, because what's more important is my business. I can build back my credit, but it's a whole hell of a lot harder to build back your business. Your trucking business has to be number one at all costs during the bad times. I chase miles and I keep that truck booked at all times. You have to become a booking time management specialist. At least that's been my experience. Because any day that your truck's not under a load, I feel you're closing the gap to put you out of business. During the first recession in 2015 that I trucked through, I was at a company called Roadrunner, and my pay was capped. And I found out real quick, if I didn't find a way to cut expenses, I'm going to go out of business real fast. I found every source there was for me to save money. When you can't earn more money, you got to find ways to cut expenses. That being home lifestyle, and even more importantly, trucking lifestyle. My biggest expense was fuel, and my biggest expense savings was miles per gallon. I learned to become more efficient, more progressive at driving, and that started saving me over $200 a week in running. My pay was capped while I was at Roadrunner. I earned on average $1.25 to $1.30, and I ran terminal to terminal. I set myself up on a dedicated lane. I came out of Atlanta and I ran to NorCal and I came back. On average, I did that twice a week. That year, 2015, I ran over 140,000 miles. I kept that truck rolling, and I ran like this. I had a dedicated lane. I was number one truck coming out of Atlanta that was set and scheduled to go to Northern California. And my truck was the first one loaded on Friday night. So normally I would get there Sunday night and I'd run that truck. My first day, I'd go from Atlanta and I'd go over to Arkansas, that first TA past West Memphis. I would park there. As that was Sunday. On Monday, I would get up from there and I'd drive all the way to Amarillo, which was right at 700 miles. On Tuesday, from Amarillo, I'd drive all the way to Kingman, to that Petro. That's 750 miles. And yes, this was before my EOD over there, the little nasty bugger. This was on paper, but on Tuesday, I was in Kingman, waking up. Wednesday, I drove from Kingman to Northern California. So I ran that load in 3.5 days. And usually when I get there, if I was lucky, they had my trip coming back, because I was also number one on the load from Northern Cal coming back to Atlanta. Most of the time I had to wait 2 days. Sometimes half that I waited 1 day. But when I got real lucky, when the stars aligned, my load was ready. So all I done was I dropped my trailer, hooked to another trailer, and I turned it back east. And also by being on paper, when the stars aligned, yes, it was outlaw, but I was back in Atlanta on day 7. Yeah, my time ran out somewhere in Arkansas, Little Rock. Anywhere from, say, the whole state of Arkansas is when I ran out my time. So I would outlaw back into Atlanta. I'd be back home the next day while my logbook caught up to me. I guess there's a reason we got EODs nowadays. But that's cool. I don't like running like that anyway. I'm just telling you this is what I did, because my home time is invaluable. Now, on the way coming back, I also had the set parameters, my little marking points, and I found that Interstate 40 was my most fuel efficient way to come back. You go down to 10 and 20 and come back. The fuel was cheaper, but there was a bigger chance for side winds, tailwinds, headwinds. So in all, I didn't fare well on the miles per gallon coming back. Interstate 80, well, it's windy and the fuel was more expensive. So I found I-40 was my best fuel efficient route. And trust me, I played with all 3 routes many times to nail it down to I-40. And I would leave Northern Cal, and from Northern Cal, I'd drive to Kingman. And from Kingman, I'd drive to Amarillo. From Amarillo, I'd drive over Heath, Arkansas. That's what it is, Heath, or Earl. Heath, Arkansas. And from there, I'd come on back into Atlanta. You know, I had that run pinged in at 3.5 days out, 3.5 days back. Now, that's hard running. That's getting up. That's keeping the doors shut. And that's really That's getting on down the road and not wasting any time. But I was on paper, so I didn't really drive fast then. I felt my sweet spot, 60, 61, 62. I drove by the pedal, I stayed off the cruise, and I know this is highly toxic to talk about because people will argue, but in my experience, the cruise control eats up more fuel per mile per gallon. Reason being, if you got your cruise control set and you're going up a slight grade, that boost is going to spoil to 100% capacity. Whereas if I'm driving on the pedal, I can keep that boost maybe 40 or 50% capacity, which in return, I'm going to get to the hill and burn less fuel. And I'm going to make up for it on the downhill. That's when I'm on speed, when the boost is down. There's no variables pushing against burning my fuel. Just a little trick I learned along the way. That's what I did. Guys, I chased the miles. I didn't let the grass grow up behind. What's that saying? Yeah, I didn't let the grass grow. I kept the truck rolling, and anytime you see me out, I was just go, go, go. The only time I stopped was for fuel, shower, break. Just I was out of the truck stop, gone. I'm not the guy that hangs out at the truck stops. And again, y'all, that's been my experience through my past 2 trucking recessions. I chased miles. I put the miles down, and in both times I came out the other end, and I was still in business. And before making this video, I called up one of my good friends, Todd. Todd's been trucking for way longer than me. He's been a carrier for way longer than me, and I wanted to pick his brain. I wanted to pick his brain on the worst trucking recession this trucking generation has experienced, and that was 2007, 2008. So I called him. I picked his brain to see what he had to say about it. I wanted to know what he did to come out the other side of 2007, 2008 recession. He told me a story, and crazy enough, it aligned with what I've done in the past 2 recessions. He buttoned down the hatches, he kept a tight ship on expenses, and he just chased the miles, guys. In the comments, let me know your experience or any advice to share with the rest of the viewers on your experience of making it through the other side of a trucking recession. Oh, and by the way, Todd has started a channel. He's capturing his trucking experience. It's all about trucking, family, and golf. Todd's clearing off his property right now down in Florida. He's building a barn dominium, and if you like that, that'd be cool to watch. I think it will be. I can't wait for it. Also, his daughter, Mighty Mouse, she's in high school, guys. She's a freshman. This girl is a top golfer in Florida. She's a top golfer in the country. She's got a lot of eyes on her. The girl's like 13, 14, I think. 14. Freshman in high school, 14. She is ranked top player in the world. Well, not the top player, but she's like ranked 74th in the world. So he's going to be capturing that. They do a lot of golf tournaments. So if you like trucking, you like, barn dominium builds, if you like golf, I'm going to link Todd's channel at the end of this. Yeah, give him a subscribe. Tell him I sent you. He's a really good dude, and I learn a lot from him every time we have a good phone conversation. So definitely worth the subscribe. And guys, in today's trucking, we need some inspiration. So check out this video right down here and share your thoughts and let me know what you think about it, guys. We need to help pull each other up. We've got enough trying to tear us down. And if you like this video, give me a big old thumbs up. Subscribe if you're not subscribed. I'll put videos out on the regular All Things Trucking. Yeah, y'all know the drill. See you, bye.